Pathetic old hag, you should have rotted away with your husband. He sneered coldly, tipping a bucket of filthy sink water over his frail mother-in-law, watching her shiver in humiliated silence. To him, she was just dead weight, a nuisance he couldn't wait to crush. He figured no one would ever know. He figured his venom would stay buried. But fate has a funny way of dragging devils into the light, because right then, his wife burst through the door, and what she unleashed next would shatter it all. This is the tale of a woman hauling invisible wounds, bottled fury, and a hurricane begging to roar free. And today, I'm retelling it for you. Hey family, welcome back. Before we dive in, I've got one quick, heartfelt ask. Hit that subscribe button. Your clicks keep these raw truths breathing, amplifying silent screams and stories that demand daylight. Drop a comment too. Where are you tuning in from? Together, we're not just spinning yarns, we're fueling fire for the overlooked, pathetic old witch. The barbs flew like bullets. Tyrone loomed over Loretta like a storm cloud ready to burst, his shadow swallowing the faded floral pattern on the living room rug. The old woman's hands trembled as she clutched the arms of her worn armchair, her thin shawl slipping off one bony shoulder. A cough rattled up from her chest, dry, hacking, the kind that echoed through the house like a warning no one heeded. Tyrone's lip curled, his eyes narrowing to slits. God damn it, woman. That noise again? You're like a busted radiator in a junkyard Chevy, rattling my last nerve. He snatched the bucket from the kitchen sink, the murky water sloshing over the rim. Greasy remnants from last night's dishes, flecked with coffee, grounds, and soap scum. Loretta's eyes widened, but she didn't move. Couldn't, really. Her legs had quit on her months back, after the stroke that left her half the woman she used to be. Tyrone didn't give a damn about doctors or meds. Those pills were just another hole in his wallet. He tilted the bucket slowly, deliberately, letting the first drops hit her shawl like acid rain. Pathetic old witch, he spat, his voice low and venomous, the words slicing through the stale air. You should have rotted away with your husband 6 feet under. Instead, you're sucking the life out of me, day after goddamn day. The water cascaded down in a filthy wave, soaking the wool until it clung to her skin like a cold shroud. Loretta gasped, her frail body jerking as if electrocuted, but she bit down on her lip hard enough to draw blood. No screams, no pleas, just silent tears carving tracks through the powder on her wrinkled cheeks. Tyrone watched, a smirk twisting his mouth, satisfaction blooming in his gut like cheap whiskey. To the neighbors peeking through curtains, he was the rock-solid guy holding down the fort while his wife dodged bullets overseas. The dutiful son-in-law mowing lawns and fixing leaky faucets. But here, alone with this husk of a woman, she was baggage. Dead weight is dragging him under. He straightened up, wiping his hands on his jeans like he'd just handled trash. Clean yourself up, he muttered, tossing a dish towel at her feet. It landed in a wet slap, inches from her slippers. Loretta's fingers twitched toward it, but her arms wouldn't cooperate. She sat there shivering, the chill seeping into her bones while Tyrone rummaged in the fridge for a beer. The cap twisted off with a hiss that matched the fury still simmering in his chest. One swig, and he felt the edge dull just enough. Yeah, this was his house now. Nia was off playing hero in some desert hellhole, trusting him to keep the home fires burning. Blind trust. That's what made it sweet. Across town in a dimly lit booth at Mama's Soul Kitchen, the kind of spot where the ribs fell off the bone and the sweet tea ran strong, Tyrone slid in late, flashing that easy grin that always worked. Ebony was already there, legs crossed under the table, her nails tapping a rhythm on her phone screen. She looked up, her full lips curving into a smile that lit the place like neon. About time, handsome. Thought you bailed on me again for that witch hunt at home. Tyrone chuckled, low and rough, sliding into the seat across from her. His knee brushed hers under the table. Accidental, sure, but neither pulled away. Nah, just had to deal with the old bat. She's hacking up a lung again, sounding like she's auditioning for a horror flick. Nearly lost my cool. He leaned in, voice dropping to a conspiratorial rumble. But hey, keeps me sharp. Reminds me why we're doing this. Ebony's eyes sparkled with that dangerous glint, the one that said she got it. All of it. They'd been thick as thieves since high school, back when Nia was the golden girl captaining the track team, and Ebony was the firecracker cheering from the bleachers. Sisters, almost, until Tyrone came along, sweeping Nia off her feet with his smooth talk and steady job at the auto shop. Ebony had been the maid of honor, toasting their future like it was gospel. But late nights turned into secrets, a stolen kiss here, a hurried grope there. Now, it was full-on fire, the kind that burned hotter because of the risk. She reached across, her fingers tracing lazy circles on the back of his hand. Poor baby, stuck playing nurse to that dried-up prune. Nia's out there dodging IEDs, thinking you're her knight in shining armor. Feeding her those sweet nothings on those video calls. Miss you, babe. Taking good care of mama. Classic. Her laugh was a velvet knife, slicing right to the bone. If only she knew her bestie was the one keeping her man warm at night. Tyrone's grin widened, his thumb stroking her wrist. The waitress swung by with cornbread and greens, but they barely noticed, lost in the bubble of their own making. She worships the ground I walk on, Eb, blind as a bat in a blackout. And you're the cherry on top, slipping in with those check-in on Loretta visits, bacon pies, and all that church lady bullshit. Genius cover. He popped a piece of cornbread in his mouth, chewing slowly, savoring the spice. Last time you swung by, I thought the old lady was going to keel over right there, watching us eye-fuck across the kitchen. Ebony leaned back, fanning herself with mock drama. Girl's got eyes like a hawk, even half dead. But she ain't saying shit. Too scared or too loyal to Nia. Whatever. As long as she keeps her trap shut, we're golden. She sipped her tea, ice clinking like a countdown. Speaking of, Nia's call last night? You nailed the love and husband bit? Every time. Tyrone's chest puffed a little, pride mixing with the thrill. Told her Loretta's eaten better, smiling more. Threw in some crap about praying for her safe return. Had her tearing up on the screen, calling me her rock. He shook his head, amusement flickering. Rock? Yeah, right. More like the boulder crushing that house. They clinked glasses, the sound muffled by the hum of the diner, forks scraping plates, laughter from the corner booth, a jukebox crooning old R&B. To anyone glancing over, they were just two friends catching up, maybe old flames rekindling harmlessly. But under the table, Ebony's foot hooked around his ankle, pulling him closer in that unspoken promise. We gotta be careful, though, she murmured, her voice dipping low. One slip, and boom, Nia's back here with her army boots and that no-bullshit stare. She'd gut us both. Tyrone waved it off, but a flicker of unease tightened his jaw. She trusts me, Eb. Built our whole life on it. And you? Your family. Untouchable. He flagged the waitress for the check, already mapping the drive back through the quiet suburbs where porch lights flickered on like judgmental eyes. Home waited, with its creaky floors and the ghost of Loretta's cough haunting the halls. But for now, the stolen hour was his. Theirs. Back at the house, Loretta dragged the dish towel across her lap with shaking hands, the fabric turning brown from the grime. The water had pooled at her feet, seeping into the carpet like a stain that wouldn't lift. She stared at the wall, where a framed photo hung crooked. Nia in her dress blues, arm around Tyrone at their wedding, both beaming like they'd cracked the code to forever. Loretta's chest ached, not just from the cold, but from the lie staring back at her. Her baby girl, out there sweating under foreign suns, counting on this man to hold it together. And here he was, unraveling it thread by thread. She whispered a prayer under her breath, the words worn smooth from years of use. Lord, give me strength. Don't let her break on my account. The front door would creak open soon enough, Tyrone smelling of barbecue and betrayal. Loretta pulled the shawl tighter, steeling herself for the mask he'd slapped back on, the perfect son-in-law. For Nia's sake, she'd play along, but deep down in the quiet places where hope flickered like a dying bulb. She wondered how long the charade could hold before it all came crashing down. Tyrone pulled into the driveway just as the streetlights buzzed to life, killing the engine with a satisfied sigh. Another day dodged. He glanced at the rear view. Ebony's lipstick still faint on his collar, but he'd blame it on a spilled sauce packet. Easy fix. Whistling off key, he grabbed his keys and headed inside, the facade snapping back into place like a well-oiled lock. Time to be the hero again. The screen door slapped shut behind Tyrone like a punctuation mark on his good mood, the echo bouncing off the peeling wallpaper in the hallway. He kicked off his boots by the mat. Nia's rule drilled into him back when she still thought he gave a damn about scuffing the floors. Loretta's cough hit him first, that wet, gurgling hack from the living room, dragging on like nails on a chalkboard. He froze mid-step, jaw clenching, the buzz from Ebony's touch still humming in his veins. Jesus, not now, he growled under his breath, forcing a casual whistle as he rounded the corner. Loretta hunched in her chair, one hand pressed to her mouth, the other gripping the armrest white-knuckled. The damp shawl from earlier hung limp over her lap, a crusty reminder of his midday tantrum. She wiped her lips with the back of her sleeve, eyes darting to him, wary like a cornered possum sizing up the headlights. Tyrone plastered on that half-smile, the one he saved for block parties and church potlucks. "Evening, Ma. You holding up?" Nia called earlier. Sounded homesick as hell. Said to tell you she's praying for you. The lie slid out smooth as butter, but Loretta's gaze sharpened just a fraction, catching the faint red smear on his collar. Barbecue sauce, or something stickier. She swallowed the next cough, forcing it down like bitter medicine, her throat burning. "That's sweet of her," she rasped, voice thin as onion skin paper. Inside, her gut twisted. Nia, her fierce girl with the steady aim and unshakable faith, pouring her heart into those pixelated chats, blind to the rot festering back home. Loretta couldn't shatter that, not yet. "Tyrone, could I get some water? Clean this time." He barked a laugh, short and sharp, crossing to the kitchen without breaking stride. The faucet groaned to life, but he let it run cold. Straight from the tap, no filter, no mercy. Glass in hand, he sauntered back, thrusting it at her like a consolation prize. "Here, don't spill it this time. Last mess took me half the damn afternoon to mop." As she reached, a trembling fingers brushing his, he leaned in close, breath hot against her ear. "And cut the racket with that coffin. Neighbors are starting to talk, thinking I've got a chain smoker holed up in here. Embarrassing as shit for a guy like me." Loretta's hand shook, water sloshing over the rim, but she clamped her lips shut, nodding like a puppet on strings. Humiliation burned low in her belly, mixing with the chill that never quite left her bones. Tyrone was getting bolder, the mask slipping more each day since Nia's last deployment. No more half-hearted apologies or forced small talk. Just this, raw edges scraping against her skin. She sipped slowly, the liquid tasting metallic, while he flopped onto the couch, remote in hand, flipping channels like nothing had cracked between them. 2 nights later, the pattern dug deeper. Loretta woke to the thud of cabinets in the kitchen, her bladder screaming from the meds that did jack against the swelling in her legs. She eased herself up, walker scraping the hardwood like a reluctant confession, and shuffled toward the light. Tyrone stood there back to her, rummaging for a midnight snack. Chips, probably. The kind that left greasy fingerprints on everything. A fresh cough bubbled up, unavoidable, ripping through the quiet like a siren. He whipped around, bag of Doritos clutched like a weapon, eyes blazing. "What the hell, woman? It's 2 a.m. You trying to wake the whole block?" Crumbs flew from his mouth as he advanced, towering over her frail frame. Loretta braced against the walker, knuckles blanching. But the cough wouldn't quit. Hack after hack, each one weaker, more desperate. Tyrone's face twisted, disgust curling his lip. "Useless. That's what you are. A goddamn anchor, dragging me down while I'm out here holding it together for your precious daughter. She thinks I'm a saint, feeding you soup and changing your sheets. Ha! More like wasting my prime on a corpse that won't quit breathing." He snatched a dish rag from the counter, damp, stained from wiping down the counters earlier, and flung it at her feet. "Wipe your damn mouth, and stay in your room next time. I ain't your nurse." Loretta's vision blurred, Not from the tears she refused to let fall, but from the effort of standing tall under that barrage. She bent slowly, retrieving the rag, dabbing at her lips while her mind screamed, "Tell her! Call Nia right now!" But the phone sat across the room, charging on the side table, and her legs betrayed her again, buckling just enough to send her stumbling back toward the hall. Tyrone watched, arms crossed, a smirk ghosting his features as the door clicked shut behind her. By week's end, the whispers turned to full-blown murmurs. Ebony's visits ramped up, twice, 3 times a week now, pulling into the driveway with her SUV humming like a predator on the prowl. She'd breeze in with foil-wrapped casseroles or fresh-baked cornbread, the scent of butter and sage masking the sour undercurrent of her grin. "Hey, Miss Loretta, brought you some of that sweet potato pie you love. Tyrone said you've been under the weather. How's the cough treating you?" Her voice dripped honey, but her eyes, sharp as switchblades, scanning the room for any sign of weakness. Loretta forced a smile, teeth gritted behind it, as Ebony settled on the ottoman, crossing her legs in those designer jeans that screamed money Nia could never match on her sergeant's pay. "Bless you, child. It's coming along." The pie sat untouched on the tray table, steam curling up like smoke signals ignored. Tyrone hovered in the doorway, thumbs hooked in his belt loops, that easy laugh rumbling out. "Ebony's a lifesaver, Ma. Slid in here like clockwork while I'm buried at the shop. Nia's gonna owe her big when she gets stateside." They chatted surface level, weather, the pastor's latest sermon, Nia's unit making headlines for some op in the sandbox. But Loretta caught the shifts. Ebony's foot nudging Tyrone's under the coffee table, his hand lingering a beat too long when he passed her a napkin. The air thickened, charged with secrets that pressed against Loretta's chest like an extra layer of damp shawl. One afternoon, as Ebony helped her to the bathroom, arm looped solicitously around her waist, the whisper slipped out, casual as a sigh. "You know, Miss L, Tyrone's been a rock, but Nia's gone so much, leaves a man feeling lonesome. Good thing she trusts us to keep things tight, right?" Loretta's skin crawled under that grip, the words landing like veiled threats. She mumbled agreement, eyes fixed on the tile floor, but inside panic clawed up her throat. Ebony, Nia's ride or die from jump rope days, the one who'd braided her hair for prom and held her hand through boot camp goodbyes. Now this? Toying with fire in her own kitchen? Loretta eased onto the toilet seat, door half open, listening as Ebony's laugh tinkled out, high, false, mingling with Tyrone's low chuckle. "Yeah, babe, she's out cold. Quick one before I head out?" The rustle of fabric, a muffled gasp, then silence broken only by the tick of the wall clock. Loretta's heart hammered, fist balled in her lap, every fiber screaming to burst in, to shatter the illusion with a holler that'd wake the dead. But Nia's face flashed, grinning in fatigues, voice steady on the line. "Mom, Tyrone's got you. He's family." No, she couldn't. Not if it meant ripping her girl's world apart over a phone call from halfway around the globe. Instead, she squeezed her eyes shut, murmuring that same worn prayer. "Lord, seal my lips. Let her see it herself." Down the hall, the front door clicked open and shut, Ebony's taillights fading into the dusk. Tyrone sauntered back, wiping his mouth with the back of his hand, whistling that same off-key tune. Loretta dragged herself to bed, the house settling around her like a coffin lid, the weight of unspoken rot pressing heavier with every creak. The gravel crunched under Nia's combat boots like brittle bones snapping, her duffel bag thumping against her thigh with every determined stride up the driveway. She'd caught the red-eye from Bagram, a surprise she'd nursed like a secret weapon. 2 weeks early, no heads up, just the itch in her gut screaming home now. The desert dust still clung to her skin, a gritty reminder of patrols gone sideways and nights staring at stars that felt a million miles from Jersey. But the porch light glowed warm, the American flag limp in the humid air, and for a split second, her chest loosened. Tyrone's truck sat parked crooked, like always. Mom's curtains twitched. Wait, no, that was just the breeze. She grinned, key already jangling in her fist, picturing his face lighting up. Loretta's arms wrapping her in that bone-crushing hug. The door swung open with a familiar squeak, hinges begging for oil she'd promised to fix last leave. Honey, The word died in her throat, punched out by the scene slamming into her like a frag grenade. Tyrone hunched over Loretta's armchair, a dented metal bucket gripped in his meaty fist, the slosh of filthy water hitting the air like a threat. It poured in a rancid cascade, brownish sludge reeking of grease and neglect, splashing across her mom's shawl, soaking the thin fabric until it plastered to her ribs like a second skin. Loretta recoiled, a gasp ripping from her lips, her hands flying up too late, water dripping from her fingertips in fat, accusing drops. Tears carved hot paths down her cheeks, carving furrows in the powder she dabbed on that morning, her whole body shrinking into the cushions like she could vanish. Nia's world tilted, the duffel slipping from her shoulder to thud on the threshold. Mom? It came out choked, a half-strangled whisper, her brain scrambling to process. Tyrone's face snapping up, eyes bugging wide like a deer in headlights, the bucket clanging to the floor in a puddle that spread like spilled blood. Loretta's gaze locked on hers, wide with a mix of terror and raw relief, her mouth working soundlessly, no air for words past the sobs hitching in her chest. What the... Nia? Tyrone's voice cracked high, hands shooting up, palms out, like he could wave away the horror show. He stepped back, boots squelching in the mess, his face draining to the color of bad milk. Babe, whoa, hold up. This ain't what it looks like. I swear on everything. She lost it. Started swinging that damn walker at me, talking crazy about you and some bullshit lies. I was just trying to cool her down, you know? Water from the sink, nothing major. She's been off lately. Med's messing with her head. Doc said it happens. Confusion, hallucinations, the whole nine. Nia's pulse thundered in her ears, a freight train roaring through the fog, her fists clenching at her sides until her nails bit crescents into her palms. Confusion. That was her mother. The woman who'd patched her skinned knees with spit and tape, who'd cried silent tears at her boot camp send-off but saluted anyway. Not some doddering stranger Tyrone could rewrite with his smooth-talking spin. She crossed the room in 3 strides, boots pounding the hardwood like mortar fire, dropping to her knees beside the chair. Mom, oh God, Mom, it's me, it's okay. Her arms wrapped around Loretta's soaked frame, pulling her close, the chill of the water seeping through her own fatigues, mixing with the hot sting building behind her eyes. Loretta clung back, fingers digging into Nia's shirt like a lifeline, her body shaking so hard it rattled Nia's teeth. Tyrone hovered, shifting from foot to foot, sweat beading on his forehead, despite the AC humming low. See? She's fine, babe. Just a mix-up. I've been running ragged here, holding down the fort while you're out saving the world. Stress builds up, you know? But we're good. Family sticks, right? His voice dipped into that wheedling tone, the one that had charmed her folks at the cookout, the one that made her believe in forever. But now it slithered, oily and wrong, and Nia's gut twisted harder, fury coiling low like a spring trap. The front door banged open again. No knock, just the whoosh of air and Ebony's voice slicing through the tension like a butter knife through cake. Y'all, I come bearing gifts. Collard greens from the market, fresh off the truck, and some of that peach cobbler you... She froze mid-step, grocery bags rustling in her grip, her eyes flicking from the puddle to Loretta's drenched lap to Nia's rigid back. Then like a switch flipped, her face crumpled into wide-eyed concern, bags hitting the floor with a crinkle of plastic. Nia! Oh my God, girl! You're back! Early! That's my sis! Give me that hug! She lunged forward, arms out, but Nia didn't budge, her body a shield around her mom, head snapping up to pin Ebony with a stare that could have stripped paint. Eb, what the hell are you? Nia bit it off, the pieces slamming together too fast. Ebony here, unannounced, right on cue. Her best friend since braids and braces, the one who'd FaceTimed her through sandstorms with dumb jokes and I got your back pep talks. Now standing there in her pressed blouse and hoop earrings, smelling like vanilla body spray and something sharper, off. Ebony dropped the act in a heartbeat, kneeling with a coo, one hand fluttering toward Loretta's shoulder, like she was handling glass. "Miss Loretta, honey, what happened? You okay? Tyrone, you said she was resting. This looks bad." Her voice quivered just right, all sisterly worry, but her eyes darted to Tyrone. A quick flash. Loaded. He nodded, subtle as a wink, stepping closer to lay a hand on Nia's shoulder. She flinched it off, the touch burning like hot brass. "It's nothing, Eb," Tyrone jumped in, voice steadying into that salesman drawl. "May here's been slipping more, forgetting stuff, getting agitated. Just now she went off about me stealing from y'all's savings, or some wild tale. I tried talking her down, but she swung, had to grab the bucket to block. Water's the last thing that had hurt her." "She's confused, Nia. You know the docs warned us. Dementia creeping in, making her see enemies where there ain't none." Loretta stirred in Nia's arms, her breath hitching, frail hand squeezing Nia's wrist like a plea. "No, baby, it's not. He—" The words trailed to a wheeze, another cough bubbling up, muffled against Nia's chest. Ebony leaned in, patting Loretta's back with feather-light taps, her face a mask of heartbreak. "Oh, sweetie, shh now. We know you're hurting, but Tyrone's been a saint, running, cooking that bland mush you tolerate. Nia's deployment's got us all twisted up. Stress does funny things to folks. Remember last month when she accused the mailman of spying? Same vibe. Don't let it tear y'all apart." Nia's blood roared, a white-hot blaze scorching up her spine, her jaw locking so tight her teeth ached. Accused the mailman? That was a joke she'd cracked on a call, Ebony laughing along, now twisted into ammo, and Tyrone, her rock, her husband, spinning this web like it was Tuesday trivia. The air thickened, heavy with their tag team bullshit, the puddle at her feet turning cold against her knees. She pulled Loretta tighter, feeling every rib, every tremor, the betrayal hitting like shrapnel. Not just from him, but her. Ebony, blood sister without the blood, now circling like a shark in shallow water. "Get out," Nia rasped, voice low and lethal, lifting her head to bore into Tyrone's eyes. He blinked, mouth opening on a protest, but she cut it dead. "Both of you, now." The room hung electric, the drip-drip of water, the only heartbeat. Loretta's sobs, the fuse burning short. Nia's command hung in the air like smoke after a flashbang, thick and choking. But neither Tyrone nor Ebony bolted. They lingered, eyes flicking between her and the puddle, creeping toward the baseboards, like co-conspirators waiting for the director's cue. Tyrone's hand twitched toward her shoulder again, but he yanked it back at the ice in her stare. "Babe, come on, let's hash this out. Family talk, no drama." Ebony nodded too quickly, scooping up her bags with a plastic rustle that grated on Nia's nerves. "Yeah, sis, we're on your side. Whatever you need." The urge clawed up Nia's throat, a primal roar to lunge, to wrap hands around throats and squeeze until the lies popped like overripe grapes. But Loretta's wheeze cut through it, ragged and faint against her chest. Each breath a reminder of the woman who'd outlasted chemo and grief and now this. One wrong word, one shattered vase or raised voice, and Mom could crumple for good. Nia swallowed the fire, forcing it down like battery acid, her face hardening into a blank slate. Soldier's poker face, the one she'd worn through ambushes and after-action briefings. "Out," she repeated, voice flat as a deadline, eyes never leaving theirs. "We'll talk. Later." They backed off slowly, Tyrone muttering, "Love you, babe," over his shoulder, Ebony blowing a kiss that landed like spit. The door clicked shut, and the house exhaled, silence crashing in like a dropped curtain. Nia turned back to Loretta, peeling the sodden shawl away with careful fingers, the fabric slapping wet against the trash can liner she'd yanked from under the sink. "Easy, Mom. I've got you." Loretta's eyes searched hers, pleading and exhausted, a tear slipping free to mix with the grime on her cheek. Nia, But Nia shushed her gently, thumb brushing the track away. "I know, and we'll fix it, but not tonight. Rest now." She half carried, half dragged her mom to the bedroom, muscles burning from the deadlift of bone and blanket, settling her under fresh sheets that smelled of lavender detergent. Mom's favorite, the one Nia had stocked, before shipping out. As Loretta's eyelids fluttered shut, drugged by sheer fatigue, Nia perched on the bed's edge, fist pressed to her mouth to stifle the sob clawing out. Silence. It tasted like gunpowder residue, bitter and gritty, but it was armor, a trap. Let them think they'd won this round. Let their egos swell like ticks. She'd bide, gather, strike when the iron glowed hottest. By morning, the misread played out like clockwork. Tyrone shuffled into the kitchen at dawn, hair tousled, wearing that sheepish grin like a hall pass. "Morning, beautiful. Slept like crap. Kept replaying last night. You good?" He poured coffee, black as tar, sliding a mug her way with a nudge of his hip against hers. Nia stirred in sugar, slow circles that matched the whirl in her gut, but her nod came crisp, neutral. "Fine." No accusations, no tears, just that wall, smooth and unyielding. He tested it, probing with a chuckle. "Ma's still out?" "Poor thing. Gets these spells, you know. But hey, we're past it. Ebony's swinging by later with lunch. Figured we could all reset, talk it through like adults." Nia's spoon clinked against porcelain, her smile thin as razor wire. "Sure." Inside, revulsion roiled. Ebony in her house. The playing house? But she held the line, watching his shoulders ease, that smug glint creeping back into his eyes. Gotcha, she thought, the first thread of the noose tightening in her mind. The boldness bloomed fast. Over lunch, Ebony's fried chicken, crispy-skinned and artery-clogging, Tyrone let slip the jabs, casual as passing the hot sauce. Loretta shuffled in midway, walker thumping like a metronome, her cough kicking up as she eased into a chair. It started low, a rumble in her chest, building to that wet bark that turned heads. Tyrone's fork paused midair, gravy dripping, his laugh forced through gritted teeth. "Damn, Ma, you sound like a '78 Ford with a busted carburetor. Rattling the whole block. You trying to audition for a chainsaw commercial or what?" He shot Nia a wink, like it was their inside joke, the table's tension spiking under the fluorescent buzz. Ebony chimed in seamlessly, dabbing her mouth with a napkin, eyes twinkling with false sympathy. "Oh, Tyrone, hush. You're terrible. But for real, Miss Loretta, that hack's got me worried. Maybe up the meds. Nia's home now. She can handle the heavy lifting." Her foot grazed Tyrone's under the table. Nia clocked it from the corner of her eye, the subtle hook that screamed intimacy. Loretta flushed, ducking her head, fork scraping peas around her plate like lost sheep. Nia's knuckles whitened on her glass, ice clinking a warning, but she swallowed the retort, murmuring instead, "She's fine. Pass the rolls." The pivot worked. Tyrone's grin widened, mistaking her calm for buy-in, leaning back with a satisfied slurp of tea. "See? Told you, Eb. Nia's got that cool head. Army magic." Nights carved the deepest wounds. After the dishes clattered away and Tyrone's snores rumbled from the master like distant thunder, Nia slipped into Loretta's room, door latching soft as a whisper. Moonlight sliced through the blinds, painting silver bars across the quilt, her mom's face a map of hollows and shadows. Loretta stirred at the creak, eyes cracking open, hand fumbling for Nia's like a compass needle finding north. "Baby, you shouldn't." "Shh." Nia sank onto the mattress edge, boots kicked off by the door, her calloused palm enveloping the fragile one. The room smelled of menthol rub and regret, the humidifier humming a white noise lullaby. "Can't sleep anyway. Tell me, how long?" Loretta's breath hitched, the confession spilling in fits, voice a threadbare veil over the horror. The water dumps. The sneers called her dead weight. Ebony's visits turned to tangled sheets behind closed doors. Each word landed like shrapnel in Nia's chest, carving fresh scars. But she held steady, thumb stroking the back of her mom's hand in slow, anchoring circles. When the tale trailed to sobs, Nia leaned in, forehead to forehead, her whisper fierce as a field order. "Listen to me, Mom. There's snakes in the grass, thinking they've charmed the coop. But silence? That's my rifle, scoped, loaded, waiting for the shot. I won't blow this sky high and risk you. We'll build the case airtight, Truth's my ammo, and when I fire, they won't duck. Loretta's fingers tightened, a spark flickering in her dulled eyes, her nod feeble but ironclad. You're my warrior, Nia. Always were. But it hurts, holding this. Nia's throat closed, the dam cracking just enough for a single tear to escape, hot and traitorous. Hurts me too, like glass in my veins. But we endure. For us. She tucked the quilt higher, lingering until Loretta's breaths evened out, then ghosted back to her side of the house, the hallway shadows stretching like accusatory fingers. In the bathroom mirror, her reflection stared back, eyes hollowed by jet lag and betrayal, jaw set like rebar. One day at a time. Let 'em strut. The faucet ran cold over her knuckles, washing away the phantom grime. But the storm brewed deeper, winds howling silently in her veins. Tyrone's test came that evening, sprawled on the couch with a beer, remote flickering through ESPN highlights. Loretta's cough echoed from the kitchen. Another bout, sharp and unrelenting. He didn't even glance up, voice carrying lazy and laced with mockery. Yo, Nia, your mom's engine's shot again. Sounds like she's gargling gravel. You're gonna get that checked, or we just live with the symphony. The dig hung, bait on a hook, his smirk hidden behind the bottleneck. Nia paused in the doorway, dish rag twisted in her fist, the rag wringing tighter until water wept from it. Her pulse thrummed steady, a war drum muffled. Yeah, she said even, stepping past him to drape it over Loretta's shoulders in the next room. We'll handle it. The lie tasted like ash, but it bought time. Time for the trap to spring tighter. Sunlight slanted through the blinds like sniper fire, picking out dust motes dancing over the kitchen table where Tyrone nursed his coffee, eyes glued to his phone. Nia moved like a ghost behind him, pouring cereal into a bowl with mechanical clicks, her back ramrod straight under the faded tank top. The silence stretched taut, broken only by the crunch of flakes under her spoon. Deliberate, rhythmic, a countdown she wouldn't voice. Tyrone glanced up, that cocky tilt to his mouth creeping back, testing the waters. Morning, babe. Have you hit the gym already? Looking fierce as ever. His foot nudged hers under the table, a casual invasion, but she shifted smoothly. No contact, no spark. Early run, she lied flat, swallowing the milky bite without tasting it. Inside, her veins hummed with suppressed lightning. Every glance at him a reminder of the slop he'd dumped on her mom. Every breath a tally of the lies stacking like ammo crates. But she held the line, eyes on her bowl, letting him fill the void. What's the plan today? Shop running smooth? He leaned back, chair creaking under his bulk, scrolling with a thumb that flicked too fast. Yeah, got a full bay. Oil changes, brake jobs. Ebony's coming by the house later, though. Said she'd check on Ma, maybe drag her out for some air. You cool with that? The hook dangled, baited with normalcy, but Nia's gut twisted at the name. Ebony, slinking in like smoke under the door. She nodded once, spoon scraping porcelain. Cool. His grin flashed victory, shoulders dropping as he pocketed the phone. Sucker, she thought, the first wire of her web snapping taut. Out on the stoop, the neighborhood buzzed lazily under the September haze. Kids on bikes weaving sidewalks, Mrs. Hargrove clipping her roses with garden shears, snipping like gossip tongues. Tyrone waved as he backed the truck out, hollering, "Mornin', ladies," with that porch smile charm. But Nia caught the pivot, Ebony's SUV pulling up curbside, her waving like they were all one big happy cul-de-sac. Nia, girl, hubby's heading out. Perfect, you can catch up while I whip up some lunch for Miss Loretta. Her laugh rang bright, but Nia's ears pricked up at the undercurrent, the way her eyes slid past to the empty driveway. Inside with the door latched, Ebony's mask slipped a hair, fingers drumming the counter as she unpacked deli meats. Her chatter turning pointed. So, how's the home front treating you after all that sand? Tyrone's been singing your praises at the shop. Says you're adjusting tough, but hey, that's our soldier girl. Nia leaned against the fridge, arms crossed, face blank as a briefing slide. Adjustin'. The word hung, and Ebony filled it quickly, slicing turkey with a knife that flashed too eagerly. Yeah, he mentioned you've been quiet, like distant. Folks around here notice, you know. Mrs. Hargrove cornered me yesterday, asking if y'all were fighting. Said you barely wave anymore. Hold up like you're still in the field. The rumor landed like a probe flare, illuminating the sabotage. Nia distant, the Ice Queen vet too wrapped in camo to play wife. Her pulse kicked, but she swallowed it, grabbing a tomato and slicing slowly, the blade whispering through flesh. That's what he's saying? Ebony's shrug came too casual, knife pausing mid-chop. Nah, just worrying. But real talk, deployments change folks. Tyrone's holding it down, but he misses the old you, the one who'd crack jokes at block parties. Now, crickets. People talk, sis. Wonder if the job's turning you cold. Nia's knife bit deeper, juice squirting across the cutting board like blood from a nick. Cold. The word stung, echoing the whispers she caught at the corner store yesterday. Old man Jenkins muttering to the cashier about that Thompson girl coming back all buttoned up, leaving her man hanging. Tyrone's fingerprints smeared through Ebony's manicured hands, turning her hero's welcome to side-eye stares. She forced a half laugh, dry as dust. People talk, always do. Ebony's eyes gleamed, victory in the probe. But Nia turned away, rinsing the blade under the faucet's roar, the water drowning the urge to smash the plate she'd set out. That night, the shadows lengthened as Tyrone and Ebony slipped out for drinks at the dive. His words tossed over his shoulder with a peck that grazed her cheek like obligation. Nia waited 10 breaths after the truck rumbled off, then laced her sneakers, hood up against the cooling air. The walk to O'Malley's took her through back lots, boots silent on dew-slick grass, heart steady as a suppressor. She slipped in the side door, blending with the after-work crowd, pool cues cracking, neon buzzing, Bud Light and blue haze. There they were, tucked in the corner booth, heads bent close over pitchers, Ebony's hand tracing his forearm like a map to buried treasure. Nia eased into the shadows by the jukebox, phone palmed low, camera app whispering open. Click, discreet. Zoomed in on the lean in, his laugh rumbling as her lips brushed his ear. Got you. The flash of hurt hit hard. Ebony, her prom date wingwoman, now carving out chunks of her life like it was clay to mold. But Nia shoved it down, snapping 3 more. The knee brush, the shared fry dipped in ranch, the quick grope when the bartender turned. Evidence stacked like spent casings, each one a round chambered for later. Back home, Loretta waited in the dim glow of her bedside lamp, quilt pulled high, a mug of chamomile steaming on the tray. Out for air, she rasped, eyes sharp despite the fatigue etching her face. Nia sank beside her, phone face down on the mattress, the weight of the gallery pressing like a live grenade. Something like that. The confession spilled then. The pics, the rumors slithering through the block like kudzu, turning her into the villain in her own homecoming. Loretta's hand found hers, cool and steady, squeezing with the grip of a woman who'd outrun Jim Crow and cancer. They're rattling the cage, baby, thinking you're cracked, ready to snap. Nia nodded, throat tight, the screen's glow reflecting in her eyes as she scrolled the shots. Blurry proof of the knife in her back. PTSD, that's their play. Tyrone dropped it last week, casual like. Babe, you seem off. Maybe talk to the VA. Ebony's feeding it to the ladies' circle, saying I'm shell-shocked and selfish. Whole neighborhood's buying it. Jenkins wouldn't even meet my eye at the pump today. The betrayal burned fresh, a slow fuse to her rage, but Loretta's voice cut through, low and fierce. Let 'em whisper. Silence ain't surrender, Nia. It's the shadow before the strike. They're dancing in the dark, tripping over their own feet. You're laying the tripwires. The words landed like a pep talk from the CO, stealing Nia's spine. She pocketed the phone, leaning in to press a kiss to her mom's forehead, the scent of lotion and resolve grounding her. Tripwires. Yeah. Sleep came fitfully after, dreams tangled with desert patrols and Tyrone's smirk morphing to Ebony's laugh. But dawn brought clarity. The voice recorder app, tucked in her hoodie pocket like a concealed carry. She tested it that afternoon, casual chores while Tyrone lounged in the garage, wrenching on his toolbox with mutters about bills piling up. Loretta's cough echoed from the porch, Another bout, phlegmy and persistent, and Tyrone's head snapped up, wrench clanging to the concrete. Fucking hell, woman. Can't you hack it quiet for once? Sounds like a damn freight train derailed, scaring off the mailman every time. The venom rolled out unchecked, his face twisting as he slammed the toolbox lid, tools rattling like loose change in hell. Nia froze mid-sweep, broom bristles whispering over the floor, the app's red light blinking silent witness in her pocket. Keep going, she willed him, heart pounding steady. He did, pacing now, voice rising. Nia's back, and it's still this bullshit circus. If she weren't so goddamn loyal, I'd have bounced this deadweight months ago. But nah, play the saint while she plays Rambo overseas. The recorder caught it all, every slur, every stomp, until he stormed inside, slamming the screen door hard enough to rattle the windows. Nia exhaled slowly, thumbing the stop, the file saving with a digital click that echoed her resolve. Loretta met her eyes from the rocker, a ghost of a smile cracking her lips. Bait taken? Hook, line, and sinker. Nia pocketed the phone, the weight lighter now, forged into a weapon. The web tightened, threads invisible in the dusk, but she felt them, vibrating with the pull of fools on the line. The living room buzzed like a beehive on steroids, paper plates piled high with pulled pork and coleslaw, laughter ricocheting off the walls as neighbors and kin milled around. Nia had set it up slick, invites texted out as a welcome home bash. Her smile pasted on like it was genuine when Mrs. Hargrove RSVP'd with a hug emoji. Streamers dangled from the ceiling fan, lazy spins stirring the humid air, thick with barbecue smoke and small talk. Tyrone worked the crowd like a pro, slapping backs and dishing compliments, his laugh booming over the playlist, humming Motown classics. Man, this brisket's killer. Nia's idea, y'all. She's the real MVP here. Ebony fluttered nearby, tray of deviled eggs in hand, her grin flashing white against the red lipstick, cooing at Aunt Dee's grandbaby like she was auditioning for godmother. Loretta sat tucked in her rocker by the window, shawl neat around her shoulders, a plastic cup of punch balanced on her knee. Her eyes tracked Nia through the chaos, a silent nod passing between them. It's time. Nia's pulse thrummed steady under her sundress, the one she'd ironed crisp to sell the party vibe, but her pocket burned with the weight of her phone, loaded like a clip. She wove through the bodies, nodding at Uncle Ray's war stories from Nam, but her mind stayed locked on the plan. Let him relax, then drop the hammer. Tyrone caught her eye across the room, winking with that slick charm, his tie loosened like he owned the joint. Babe, this turnout? Gold. Folks love seeing you back in one piece. He pulled her close for a side hug, breath minty with gum masking the beer he'd snuck. But Nia slipped free, smooth, murmuring thanks, with a half smile that didn't reach her eyes. Ebony sidled up next, looping an arm through hers like old times. Girl, you throw a mean shindig. Miss Loretta looked perked up too. Told her that the pie I brought would do the trick. Her squeeze lingered a beat too long, eyes scanning Nia's face for cracks. But Nia held blank, the storm bottled tight. The chatter peaked as plates emptied, folks settling into clusters, cousins on the couch swapping job woes, neighbors by the punch bowl griping about gas prices. Nia cleared her throat once, twice until heads turned, the room quieting like a classroom under the principal's glare. She stepped to the center, phone in hand, the portable speaker she'd synced earlier perched on the mantel like a sentry. Hey, y'all. Thanks for coming out. Means the world after being gone so long. Smiles beamed back, Aunt Dee clapping softly. But Nia's voice dropped an octave, steel creeping in. But this ain't just a party. Got something to share. Not about the sandbox, but right here, under this roof. Tyrone's brow furrowed, mid-sip on his soda, but he played it cool, chuckling low. Whoa, babe, laying it on thick. What's the surprise? Another deployment? Laughter rippled, light and easy, but Ebony's eyes narrowed. Tray set down with a clink that echoed too loudly. Nia ignored it, thumbing the play button, the speaker crackling to life. Tyrone's voice boomed out, raw and venomous, no filter. Pathetic old hag, You should have croaked with your old man. You're dead weight, sucking my air, wasting my cash. Gasps punch the room, Uncle Ray's fork clattering to his plate, Mrs. Hargrove's hand flying to her chest like she'd been slapped. Nia didn't flinch, letting it hang, her face granite as the recording rolled on. That cough, like a dying engine, embarrassing as hell, scaring off the neighbors. You're a disgrace, woman. Loretta bowed her head, tears slipping silently, but her chin lifted a fraction, pride flickering through the pain. The room froze, eyes darting to Tyrone, his face draining white as milk, soda can crumpling in his fist. What the? Nia, that's twisted. Out of context. I was venting, stressed from holding it down while you were gone. Ma knows. Right, Ma? But Nia cut him off, voice rising like a drill sergeant. Context? I got more. She tapped again, Ebony's voice slithering out next, sly and sharp. When Nia cracks, we'll spin it. She's unstable. PTSD mess from the front. Folks will buy it. Soldier's mind snaps like that. Murmurs exploded, Aunt Dee whispering, Lord have mercy, her husband shaking his head slowly. Ebony went rigid, face paling under her makeup, the tray forgotten as she stammered. That's not fake. Edited crap. I never. Nia pivoted, eyes boring into her like laser sights. Never what? Betray your sis? Sneak around with my husband while trashing me to the block? Another clip fired. Tyrone's growl. If Nia knew half the shit we pulled, she'd implode. A hero turned nutjob. Who'd believe her? The room erupted in hisses, cousin Jamal muttering, Damn, that's cold. Mrs. Hargrove turning full glare on Ebony, roses forgotten. You? Like family to us, girl. How could you? Ebony lunged verbally, hands up, pleading, voice pitching high. Lies, she's jealous, back from war, all twisted, seeing enemies everywhere. Tyrone's been golden, y'all know it now. Lawns, fixing leaks while she's off playing G.I. Jane. But the tide turned fast, Uncle Ray standing tall, finger jabbing. We heard it, straight from their mouths. Ain't no edit in that venom. Tyrone stammered next, sweat beading on his brow, Ty suddenly choking. Hold up. Nia, babe, one slip. Stress, that's all. Don't trash us over. Trash? Nia's laugh barked sharply, no humor, stepping forward until she loomed over him. You dumped filth on my mom, called her a corpse. Spread rumors I'm cracked, cold. Turned the whole hood against me while you two played house in my sheets. The evidence hit like buckshot, gasps turning to outright snarls, Aunt Dee's eyes welling as she clutched her purse. Boy, you're done. We trusted you, son-in-law, my ass. Ebony backed toward the door, heels clicking frantically, but Nia blocked the path verbally, voice thundering. Stay. Everyone deserves the full picture. The saint abusing a sick woman, the bestie stabbing backs for kicks. Tyrone slumped against the wall, mopping his forehead with a sleeve. Mumbles dying on his lips as the crowd's stares burned holes. Disgust raw, betrayal etched deep. The mask lay shattered on the carpet, truth shrapnel embedding in every face, the room electric with the fallout. The room hung suspended in the echo of Ebony's recorded sneer, the speaker's hum fading like a dying breath, leaving only the collective inhale of shocked faces. Nia stood tall, spine like rebar, her arms wrapping around Loretta's shoulders as she pulled her mom close, the rocker creaking under their combined weight. Loretta leaned in, head resting against Nia's chest, her frail hands clutching the sundress fabric like it was armor. The crowd's murmurs swelled, Uncle Ray's low growl, Aunt Dee's sniffle turning to a sob, Mrs. Hargrove's, well, I never slicing through the haze. Tyrone slumped further against the wall, knees buckling like wet cardboard, his tie a noose he tugged at frantically. Ebony froze mid-backpedal, heels rooted, her lipstick smile cracking into a grimace. Nia's voice cut through the chaos, steady as a sniper's aim, echoing off the streamers now drooping like wilted flags. They fooled us all, my husband dumping trash on my sick mom, calling her a hag that should have died. My best friend scheming behind my back, spreading poison that I'm the broken one. The cold vet who ditched her man. She locked eyes with the room, sweeping from cousin to neighbor, her words landing like gut punches. abuse, betrayal, right here, while I bled overseas for this country. But the truth, it doesn't hide forever. And y'all heard it, straight from their lying mouths. Gas turned to outright snarls, the tide flipping hard. Cousin Jamal shot up from the couch, fists balled at his sides, face thundercloud dark. You piece of shit. Tyrone, we trusted you like family. Mowing our lawns, acting the hero while you tormented Aunt Loretta? And you, Ebony, Nia's ride or die, stabbing her in the back for what? A quick roll? Aunt D nodded fiercely, tears streaking her mascara, her voice rising shrilly. Get out, both of y'all. Ain't no place here for snakes like you. The block's backbone cracked wide open, whispers snowballing into accusations. Heard him bragging at the shop about holding down the fort. Bullshit. Ebony fed me that line about Nia being distant. Turns out she's the two-faced witch. Tyrone pushed off the wall, hands up like surrender, sweat rivers carving paths down his temples. Wait, y'all hold on. Nia's twisting it. Those clips? Cherry-picked. I was venting, stressed from juggling everything solo. Loretta's tough, but she gets confused. Doc said it, dementia creeping. And Eb? She's just a friend helping out. His voice cracked, desperate, eyes darting for allies. But the room stared back cold, arms crossed, heads shaking slowly. Mrs. Hargrove stepped forward, shears forgotten in her pocket, finger jabbing like a prosecutor's. We ain't buying it, boy. Heard you clear as day, wishing death on that sweet woman. And spreading filth about Nia, our hero? Shame on you. Ebony's facade shattered next. Tears welling fake as cubic zirconia, her hands wringing the hem of her blouse. Please, it's not like that. Nia's my girl, always was. Those words? Out of context, heat of the moment. Tyrone and I, we were just talking hypotheticals, blowing off steam. Y'all know how it is. Lonely nights while she's gone. But her plea fell flat, Jamal's scoff cutting it dead. Hypotheticals? Like plotting to call her crazy? Nah, that's premeditated dirt. The crowd surged verbally, Uncle Ray's baritone booming. Out, now, or we'll drag you. Tyrone's shoulders sagged, the fight leaking out like air from a punctured tire, his eyes flicking to Nia with a mix of plea and poison. Babe, we can fix this. Private. Don't burn it all. But Nia's gaze stayed ice, her arm tightening around Loretta, who lifted her chin now, voice rasping strong for the first time. No fixin' evil, son. You broke it. Now face the music. Ebony grabbed her purse, heels clicking retreat, but the door seemed miles away under the glares scorching her back. Fine. Y'all believe what you want, but Nia's the one changing, not us. The lie hung limp. No takers, as she shoved past Jamal, shoulder checking him with a huff. They slunk out together, Tyrone trailing Ebony like a whipped dog, the screen door slamming behind them with a finality that rattled the windows. Outside, the neighborhood eyes followed, kids pausing bikes, porches emptying as whispers chased them to the curb. There they go, the abusers. Heard the tapes, disgusting. Tyrone's truck roared to life, tires squealing as he peeled out, Ebony's SUV tailing close. But the block's judgment clung like tar, a social death sentence sealed in stares and shakes of heads. Inside, the air shifted, heavy silence breaking into hugs and apologies. Aunt D enveloped Nia first, squeezing tight. Baby, we're sorry. Bought their crap hook, line, and sinker. You're our pride. Uncle Ray clapped her back, gruff but warm. Handled like a boss, soldier. Proud of you. Mrs. Hargrove knelt by Loretta, patting her hand. You okay, hon? Should have seen it sooner. Loretta managed a weak smile, tears drying on her cheeks. I'm free now, thanks to my girl. Nia exhaled slowly, the storm's eye passing, her hold on Loretta softening as the crowd thinned. Plates cleared in quiet solidarity. The house felt lighter, shadows lifting like fog burned off by the sun. The punch bowl emptied of its sweet poison. Loretta tilted her head up, eyes meeting Nia's with a spark that hadn't shone in months. We did it, baby. Turn that hurt into something sharp. Nia's lips curved, a real smile cracking through, not born of hate but hard-won peace. Yeah, Mom. Our blade now. The room emptied gradually, goodbyes laced with promises. Call if you need anything. Leaving just the two of them, the streamers sagging victorious. Justice tasted bitter, like victory coffee after a firefight, but it warmed deep, forging their bond into unbreakable steel. Two women, scarred but standing, pain hammered into power. And there you have it, folks. The story of Nia Thompson, a woman who turned silence into her sharpest sword, proving that patience and truth can expose even the deepest betrayals and transform pain into unbreakable strength. In the end, it's a reminder that real justice often comes not from explosive rage, but from the quiet power of standing firm and letting the facts speak for themselves. What about you? Have you ever faced a moment of betrayal where holding back and gathering your strength led to your own victory? Or maybe it taught you something unexpected about trust and resilience? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your stories and perspectives. Stay tuned for our next video, where we'll dive into another tale of hidden courage and family bonds tested to the limit. It'll leave you inspired and ready to face whatever comes your way. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for watching and being part of this community. Until next time, take care of yourselves and each other. See you soon.